Hello everyone, this is Parth from Aussizz Group. I'm working in a migration department, and today I'm here to talk about recent policy changes as a part of new financial year. So as you might be aware of that immigration every year in the new financial year, they make some changes in the policies. So same way this year immigration, they are coming up with the new changes. Mainly it's about the migration planning levels. They are reducing from $190,000 applicants to 160,000 applicants. Secondly, they are coming up with a new regional visas from November. Thirdly, there are new states sponsorship options with new requirements. And fourth, about the visa fees, like most of skill assessment authorities have increased the skill assessment charges, and for all of the visas, most of the visas except visitor visas, immigration has increased the visa fee up to 7% to whatever the current fees for the last year. So if you have any questions, you can ask at the same time, or even after the video, once it get finished, you can keep posting your questions. And I have tagged my profile, so if you have any questions, you can either text me on that profile, or you can tag whatever your questions are over here in the same video, and then I'll be able to answer it at the later stage. So firstly, it's about the migration planning level, which is currently, like for the last day, it was 190,000 that immigration was granting 190,000 applicants permanent residency. That is under skilled stream, that is under family stream, and other specific circumstances stream. So generally for the last year, they were granting approximately 70% of applicants permanent residency under skill stream, 30% remaining, around 29.5% stream around for family stream, which includes partner visa, parent visas, or any other relatives. And there are some specific circumstances, some specific visas, so that are very limited for that visa. So this year, from this year July, 1st of July, immigration, they are saying that they are going to reduce the number of places for permanent residency from 190,000. They are decreasing it to 160,000 applicants, which will again consist of around 69.5% of skill stream, which includes employer sponsored visas, general skilled migration like point tested visas, and remaining around 30.5%, that is for family stream, that remains same as last year for partner visas or parent visas. So mainly in this migration program, which is 160,000 applicants, they are going to grant the visa. The mainstream is skilled visas, which includes employer sponsored visa, where there are 3 visas. 482 visa, which is a temporary visa leading to permanent residency if your occupation is under high demand. Secondly, 186 visa, which is employer nomination scheme, and third one is 187 visa, which is RSMS, regional sponsored migration scheme, which again immigration, they are changing that 187 visa to 494 visa from this year November. So that will be pathway to permanent residency. That is, these 3 visas are falling under employer sponsored visas, and another stream is general skilled migration, where there are 3 visas again: 189 visa, 190 visa, and 489. 189 and 190, these 2 visas are straight away giving you permanent residency. And third visa, 489 visa, which is the pathway to permanent residency, where you will get visa for 4 years, and if you work in regional area for 1 year, and if you stay in regional area for 2 years, you can apply for permanent residency after you meet these 2 requirements. So 489 visa also, immigration, they are going to change it in this year November, from 16th of November, to 491 visa. So instead of 4 years of visa, you will be getting 5 years of visa, and instead of 2 years of stay in Australia, you will be required to stay and work in regional area for 3 years, and then you can apply for permanent residency under 191 visa. So firstly, it's about the migration planning level. They are decreasing it to 160,000 applicants from 190,000. This planning level is designed for next 4 years. So for next 4 years, immigration is saying that they will be decreasing. So they will be granting only 160,000 applicants permanent residency under employer sponsored visa, GSM visa, for family migration. So if immigration is decreasing the migration planning level, then it will also affect the point system, like where the applicants will be required to have more points. Secondly, new visas coming up in this year November, mainly it's regional employer sponsored visas or regional skilled regional visas. So employer sponsored visa will be like 187, which is currently available, will be changed to 494 visa, where if you find any employer in regional area happy to sponsor you, then you will be getting 5 years of visa, and after 3 years you can apply for permanent residency under 191, considering you work with the same employer. Or the new visa, which is like from 489, they are changing it to 491 visa, which will be granted for 5 years, and if you work in regional area and stay in regional area for 3 years, then you can apply for permanent residency. These are the two main visas which is coming up in this year November, from 16th of November. If someone is applying for visa, RSMS visa, 187 visa or a 489 visa before 16th November, that is until 15th of November, they will have to meet the same criteria, and they will be eligible as looking at the current requirements for 489 visa, and they can apply for permanent residency after 2 years of time. But if you are applying your visa on or after 16th of November, then you will have to meet the new changes, like new requirements, which is like you will be getting 5 years of visa, and after 3 years you might be able to apply for permanent residency. Secondly, immigration is also going to increase. They are going to give more points for people who are single applicants, or they people with partner who is a skilled partner. So if you are a single applicant, you will be getting 10 extra points just being a single applicant. Or if you are married, but if your partner is a permanent resident or a citizen of Australia, then still you will be able to get 10 points. Or if your partner is a skilled applicant, that is your partner has a skill assessment and 6 is generally, then your partner will be able to give you 10 points. For people who are married, but if their partner is not qualified, but if your partner can at least score 6 bends each, that is a competent English, then your partner will be able to give you still 5 points. However, if your partner is not a skilled and cannot get even competent English, then you will not be able to get any benefit from these points. Secondly, for STEM qualifications like science, technology, engineering and mathematics, you can get 10 extra points if you have studied master's degree by research and PhD degree in Australia. So that degree must be in research. So master's degree must be by research, or if your PhD degree, if you are studying in science, technology or engineering or mathematics relevant, then you might be able to get extra points. So as of now, currently you are getting 5 points if you have such qualification. So you will be getting 10 points from this year November. That is about getting extra points for STEM qualification. Thirdly, as of now, currently for 489 visa, skilled regional visas, you are getting 10 points either from the state or from family member who is permanent resident or a citizen. Eligible relatives. So eligible relatives are anyone who is your parents, or suppose your siblings or grandparents, or your uncle, auntie, cousins, nephew, first cousins. They can give you 10 points if they are a permanent resident or citizen of Australia, or eligible New Zealand citizens. They can give you 10 points as per the current requirements, or any state government can sponsor you 10 points, which immigration they are saying that they will be giving 15 points from November. So that 5 points extra you will be getting at that time. So even if your minimum points, most of the applicants, they are able to qualify through this stream, through this visa. So if you relocate to regional areas, it will be very easy for you to get permanent residency maybe at the later stage, because most of the applicants who has an age of in between like 25 to 33, they will be getting maximum points for the age, which is 30 suppose. And then if they have studied in Australia, suppose undergrad degree or higher degree, they will get 15 points for studying undergrad degree or higher degree. That can be overseas qualification as well, but that must be equivalent to Australian undergrad degree or higher. That can give you 15 points, and most of the people who have studied over here for 2 years will be getting 5 points. So they will have 50 points, 34 age, qualification 15 plus 5 points for 2 years of study, so 50. So even if you don't score higher in English, 50 points plus state points, suppose 15 points, you are eligible with 65 points, because for immigration, minimum requirement is you must be having 65 points in total, including the state nomination points or family sponsorship points, plus you are required to have minimum competent English, which is 6 in each. And thirdly, you are required to have a positive skill assessment for permanent, like for kind of full skill assessment is required. So if you have these 3 things, then you can apply for permanent residency or a pathway to permanent residency. So if you are planning to relocate to regional areas, it will be very easy to get permanent residency at the later stage. So even if you don't have higher points, state should be happy to sponsor you if you meet the state's particular requirements. That is about the new visa changes coming up. Thirdly, as of now, generally most of the time, like in July, states, even they update the state nomination requirements, they also update their occupation list. So immigration, generally they also update their occupation list, like MLTSSL list or STSL list or regional occupation list. But then it looks like recently immigration has updated this occupation list, so they might not be coming up with the new changes, but you never know, maybe by mid of July they might announce that. Otherwise, the recent occupation list which they have announced just 2 months back, 3 months back, you will have to follow that occupation list, and you might be able to apply for permanent residency through that occupation list. So you will have to refer the same occupation list, but in July, states, they will update their occupation list as well. So every state, they update generally their occupation list looking at demand in that particular state. So if state has a particular like high demand of any occupation, then they will have a separate occupation list saying that we have high demand of this occupation. So if you are qualified into that occupation, and if you meet additional requirement required by that state, if you meet that requirement, then they might be able to sponsor you as well. So for point tested visas, because for employer sponsored visa, you need any employer who is happy to sponsor you, plus you require minimum 2 years of full-time experience in order to get a sponsorship. So if you have 2 years of experience and if you have any employer who is happy to sponsor you, then you might be able to look for 482 visa. Or if you are looking for permanent residency through employer sponsored visa, you require at least 3 years of full-time experience plus skill assessment. Then employer might be able to sponsor you for permanent residency. Apart from that, if you are looking for permanent residency through general skill migration, that is 189, 190 or 489, which is going to change to 491 visa, then you require higher points or plus skill assessment plus competent English. So in that case, in GSM point tested visas, there are 3 visas: 189 visa, 190 and 489 visa, which is going to change to, immigration is going to change it to 491 visa. So 189 visa requires mainly points. If you have higher points, you might be able to apply for 189 visa, like you might be able to get invite and you might be able to apply for visa accordingly for 189 visa. If you think you cannot get higher points, then you should look for state sponsored visas like 190 or 489 visa, where if you meet state nomination requirements, then they might be able to sponsor you. So firstly, what you are going to look at is whether that state has a demand of your occupation, whether they are sponsoring your occupation or not. So firstly, you require a skill assessment in that occupation in order to get a sponsorship from that state. So suppose if you are an accountant, you have to see which state has a demand of accountant. If suppose Victoria, they don't have a demand of accountant, they will not be sponsoring you. But if you look for some other state which has a demand of accountant, they might be able to sponsor you. They sponsor you thinking that if you go and stay in that state, they have a demand in that state, suppose for accountant. So they expect that you live in that state for 2 years of time at least, so that that demand will be fulfilled and you will also get your visa. So it's both of your benefit, like for the state as well and for you as well. And that's why generally state government, they sponsor applicants. So recently, some of the states has come up with a new occupation list saying that we are going to sponsor this applicants, this kind of applicants with this kind of skills. So mainly as of now, there are 2 states which has updated their occupation list. All other state, they haven't updated, or they said that they will be updating it soon. So firstly, South Australia, they have provided with a new occupation list, and they have mentioned which occupations they have high demand of. So they have announced the occupation list on 1st of July, and they said that if you are eligible, you can just look at the requirements on the South Australian website. Generally, they look for 1 year of experience, skilled experience, that can be in your same occupation or it can be in any other occupation as well. But that must be skilled experience. So that must be in, so South Australia has a list of occupations. So if you have worked in any of that occupation for 1 year, no matter what is your occupation in terms of in which occupation you got your skills assessed, even if you work in some other occupation for 1 year, you can apply for South Australia state nomination, considering your occupation is in demand in South Australia. So South Australia has announced the list, and they said that you are eligible for the state nomination if you meet the additional requirement, which is generally 1 year of experience is a mandatory requirement that can be waived off for people who have studied in South Australia. Otherwise, you are required to have 1 year of experience, that is compulsory requirement. And South Australia said that they have already announced the list, but then you will be only eligible for application to the state from midnight today, that is from 3rd of July. So if you are eligible, you can apply to the state by like after midnight today. And generally they have two occupation lists. One of them is SNOL list, which is state nominated occupation list. They have around 275 occupations which are in high demand in South Australia. So if you are qualified in any of that occupation and meeting additional requirement of having suppose 1 year of experience, or if you are graduate of South Australia, you are only required to prove 3 months of experience. So if you have that, then you can apply to South Australia. If you are living outside of South Australia, you must be either offshore or you must be living in South Australia in order to apply for South Australia state nomination. It means that if you are living in any other state in Australia, you are not eligible to apply for South Australia state nomination, no matter what, even if you meet any other requirements. So South Australia says that you are only eligible to apply for South Australia state nomination if you are outside of Australia or if you are living in South Australia itself. The living period, they says you must be living in South Australia for at least 6 months of time. And plus they says that you have to have 1 year of experience. So suppose if you are not a South Australian graduate, if you have studied in any other state in Australia, then they says that you are required to you must be living in South Australia for 6 months at least, plus you must have either studied in South Australia or you must have worked in South Australia for at least 6 months, then only they might be able to sponsor you. So South Australia requirements are pretty bit complex in a way, because for different kind of applicants for different occupation, they have different requirements. They generally sponsor applicants under 190 or 489 visa, but as I said, if you are living in South Australia, then only you are eligible. And if you haven't studied in South Australia, you might be still eligible, but you must be living in South Australia. For SNOL occupation list, this is your occupation, because it is in high demand, that's why you don't have to meet any additional requirement. But if your occupation is coming under another occupation list, which is supplementary skilled occupation list, so they have two occupation lists, as I said, SNOL list and a supplementary occupation list. So if your occupation is coming under supplementary occupation list, you have to meet additional requirements as well. That additional requirements, there are 4 ways you can meet that requirement, which is either if you have studied in South Australia for 1 year, then you might be able to choose any occupation from supplementary occupation list, or if you have worked in South Australia for 1 year in Adelaide or out of Adelaide, greater outside of greater Adelaide, then you have to have worked outside of that area for 6 months of time, or in Adelaide if it is, then you must have worked for 1 year in the nominated occupation. So first option is you should have studied in South Australia for 1 year, or you must have worked in South Australia in the skilled nominated occupation list, nominated occupation that is in Adelaide, or 6 months outside of Adelaide. Third option is if you have close relative living in South Australia for more than 24 months of time, then you might be able to apply for state nomination. That relative can be your parent, grandparents, or siblings, and they must be either permanent resident, citizen of Australia, or they must be holding 489 visa. Fourth option is if you have high points, that is 80 points including the state nomination points, that is 70 points if you have by yourself plus 10 points from the state, suppose that is altogether 80, you might be able to choose any occupation from supplementary list. But as I said, apart from this, if you are living outside of South Australia, you are not eligible. So if you are talking about state nomination for South Australia, you must be either outside of Australia or you must be living in South Australia, and you can meet the requirements. So suppose if you are a chef and if you want to apply for South Australia state nomination, if you are living in Victoria, then you are required to at least go to South Australia, live there for 6 months, work there for 6 months. Considering you already have 6 months of experience, suppose in Victoria, plus 6 months in South Australia, you will have 1 year of experience, because they ask for minimum 1 year experience in skilled occupation. Then you can apply to South Australia. So if your occupation is under SNO list, it might be easier for you to get a state nomination, but still you are required to relocate and you study there or work there. Then after, they might be able to sponsor you. Or if you are outside of Australia, then you might be able to apply for the state nomination, that is for South Australia. Another state which has updated their occupation list is New South Wales. That is only for 489. For 489, they have 8-9 regional areas, and for every different regional areas, they have different requirements. So some of the regional areas, they have announced that they have announced new occupation list for that state and new requirements for that regional area. Mainly it's Orana, which is they have started the sponsorship from yesterday, that is from 1st of July, and they said that you are eligible as long as your occupation is on their list, and plus you meet the minimum requirement for the state nomination, which is having minimum 0.65 in total, including the state nomination points, plus minimum 6 each, plus a skill assessment. If you have that, then you might be able to apply. They are also sponsoring accountants, but then for specifically accountants, they are saying that you are only eligible if you have 6 months of experience in Australia and you are generally required to be living and working in Orana. They are not specifically saying that you must be working and living in Orana, and it's not like specifically to accounting occupation, but then they say that 6 months of experience in Australia in accounting, it's mandatory in order to apply for the state nomination. They have also updated their requirements in a way that they are saying that they will be awarding more points for the people who are living in Orana or working in Orana, and they are going to select applicants based on the point system. So they have like kind of very similar metric system to Canberra. Like they are saying that if you have experience in Australia, you will be getting certain points. If you have experience in Orana, or if you have stayed in Orana for a few months, then you might be getting more points. If you have a skilled partner, you might be able to get more points. So that is a separate point system than immigration. People who will be having more points, they will be giving preference to them first. That is for Orana. They have said that from 1st to 15th of every month, generally they will be like you are eligible to apply for expression of interest. So you will have to submit application to them, and after 15th they will be checking the applications, and the applicant will have more skills. They will be filtering the applicants accordingly, and they will be selecting and sponsoring the applicants accordingly. So they have changed the process in a way that you will have to submit application 2 times. Initially you will be submitting expression of interest, and at that time you will be paying $300. If they wanted to sponsor you, then they will call you and they will ask you to submit a full application. That is, you will have to pay $500, plus you will have to submit additional documents to prove your points, and then they might be able to sponsor you. So kind of like 2 steps process. That is for Orana. Other than that, Murray, they have updated their state sponsorship. They are saying that you are eligible to apply, but generally they are asking for minimum 2 years of experience. If you have that, then you might be able to apply to Murray. That is again in New South Wales. Thirdly, Southern Inland, they have also updated their occupation list, but earlier they were sponsoring telecom network engineers, but they are not now sponsoring network engineers. Plus for nurses, they are asking for minimum of 2 years of experience. So they have updated their occupation list. If you are eligible, then you will have to, same way you will have to apply for expression of interest application. If they say that we wanted to sponsor you, then you will have to submit a full application. They will assess that, and then after they will be able to finally nominate you. So currently these 3 states has already, like 3 regional areas in New South Wales has already opened the state nomination process, and another 2 states like Northern Inland, that is again in New South Wales, they are saying that they will be updating their occupation list from tomorrow. So they were going to announce that from 1st of July, but they changed the date. They are saying that they will be updating that from tomorrow, that is from 3rd of July. So you just refer to that website and see what occupation they are going to announce, like which occupations they will be sponsoring into. If you are having a skill assessment to that occupation, then you might be able to apply. Other than that, Central West, that is again another regional area in New South Wales, which is saying that they will be opening the state nomination in early August. That is on 5th of August. They will be starting accepting applications for 489 regional area state nomination, and then they will be closing the applications on 9th of August, and they will be updating the occupation list accordingly. So you will get to know in future. All other states, they haven't updated their occupation list. They haven't updated the policies. So maybe soon, like Queensland, they will be coming up with the new changes and with the new occupation list soon. Most likely these states update their occupation list by 1st or 2nd week of every month for every July. So most likely by mid-July you will get to know which states are going to sponsor you and what will be their requirements. Mainly, if you are looking for the state nomination, there are only 2 states, which is New South Wales and Victoria, which doesn't ask you to relocate to that state first in order to get a sponsorship. All other states ask you to be living in their state, working there or studying there, then only they sponsor you. So all other states, except apart from Victoria and New South Wales ask you to relocate into that state. So suppose if you are living in Victoria and if you want to apply to state, suppose South Australia or Canberra or Tasmania, any other state apart from New South Wales, then you are required to be living there, plus either studying there or working there, plus maybe you might have some other options. If you are meeting that requirements, then only they are going to sponsor you. So you cannot apply for the state nomination to any other state apart from Victoria or New South Wales just by living in any of the other states. So as of now, looking at the current requirements for other state like Tasmania, they are sponsoring applicants if for 190 visa, like which is a straight away permanent residency for the people who has studied there for 2 years or worked there for 6 months in the same occupation or a closely related occupation. So full time, if you have worked in Tasmania in your occupation or studied there for 2 years, then Tasmania might be able to sponsor you for 190 visa. Or Tasmania, they are sponsoring for 489 visa as well, which is a pathway to PR, where they are saying that instead of 2 years, if you have studied there for 1 year, or if you have worked there for 6 months full time in any occupation, or if you have relative living in Tasmania for 1 year or more, eligible relative, PR or citizen, then they might be able to sponsor you. Or if you have a plans, small business plans, like if you wanted to open a business in Tasmania, you are already having a business in any other state and you wanted to shift it, or you wanted to open a new business in Tasmania, or you are already operating a business in Tasmania, you might be able to apply under that category. Recently, Tasmania for under 489, because they are sponsoring applicants with 6 months of full-time job, and with that can be any job, that's what they were saying. But just 2 days back, Tasmania has said that they will not be nominating you if you are working for 6 months full-time in any occupation, such as which is relevant to fuel stations or retail stores or taxi driver or Uber driver, something like that. Then they will not be nominating you. You can work in any other occupation but not this occupation. Then they might be able to nominate you for 489 visa if you work there for 6 months full time. That is for Tasmania. Other than that, Northern Territory is also a very good option, but then they are asking for either 2 years of study in that state, or you must have worked there in your occupation for 6 months full time. Then they might be happy to sponsor you. That is for Northern Territory. They don't look into your occupation. They say your occupation can be anything as long as it is on immigration list, department list, on MLT SSL or ST SOL or regional occupation list. They are happy to sponsor you if you study there for 2 years, or if you have worked for 6 months full time in that occupation in which you got a skill assessment. They have the same requirements for 190 or 489. So if you want to get 190 or 489, still you have to study there for 2 years or work there for 6 months full time. Other than this, Canberra is sponsoring. They have also updated their requirements from 1st of July. Earlier they were sponsoring with 1 year of stay in Canberra. Now they are saying from 1st of July, if someone is applying for Canberra metrics, like applying to Canberra for state nomination, you must have stayed in Canberra for 2 years of time. Plus, you will have to meet additional points as per the Canberra metrics. Person who will be having more points as per the Canberra metrics system, that person will be selected first. But mainly it's about 2 years of stay requirement, which they have updated. Other than that, South Australia is generally sponsoring. But then if you are living in any other state apart from South Australia, they says you must be living there in South Australia. So you should go there in South Australia, study there for 1 year or work there for 1 year in Adelaide or outside of Adelaide. If it is, then 6 months in your occupation. Or if you have 80 points, plus if you go there and work there for at least 6 months, or if you have relative in South Australia who is PR or citizen, plus you go there and work there for 6 months at least in a skilled occupation, then they might be able to sponsor you. These are the 4 states which generally sponsor in most of the occupation as per the department occupation list. So no matter what, even if your occupation is not on that particular list, because this all state has their own occupation list as well. But apart from that, they says even if your occupation is not on that particular list, but as long as it is on department list, they might be able to sponsor you, considering you meet the state nomination requirements, which is either studying there, working there, something like that. Other than that, Queensland, they also generally sponsor, not now, but then they will be updating their occupation list soon. But they generally sponsor offshore people or people who have studied in Queensland, master's graduates or PhD graduates, they sponsor them. Or they sponsor people who are working in Queensland. So they have 3 categories: working Queensland category, graduate category, and offshore category. For different category, they have different requirements. For people who have studied in Queensland within last 2 years, master's degree or higher degree, then they might be able to apply for Queensland state nomination, considering their occupation is also on their list. For PhD graduates, there are some waivers as well, but then that occupation list Queensland will be updating soon. Other than that, Western Australia, they are also preferring someone who is Western Australia graduate. They are sponsoring other graduates as well. Like if you have studied from any other state, or if you are applying from offshore, you can apply to them, but then they have very limited occupation. Most of them are medical related occupations, which not most of the people qualify for. And they have another category that is for graduates of Western Australia. So if you have studied in Western Australia, then you might be able to apply for state nomination. Again, they have separate occupation list. So if you are falling under that occupation, then only you can apply. Other than that, New South Wales, for 190, generally for 190 New South Wales, they don't have any additional requirement. They just look at the points. So person who has higher points, they generally prefer them. And for 489, for New South Wales, they have different regional areas, as I said. Different regional areas has a different requirement. Apart from that, Victoria generally asks for 2 years or more than 2 years of experience. They have occupation list, so they only sponsor applicants from that occupation list. If you are a recent graduate of Australia, you might be able to apply under some bit, like you will have to meet bit lesser requirements, but then for that you are required to have studied in Australia within last 2 years a relevant qualification, and that is also applicable for certain occupations. They don't sponsor applicants under IT occupations or most of the engineering occupation. They only sponsor engineering technology, suppose for under recent graduate category. Or they have list of occupation for normal category where people from offshore or in Australia they can apply, but then generally you require minimum 2 years of experience, or it can be up to, so they are saying between 2 to 5 years of experience depending on the occupation. For IT occupation, minimum experience they ask for the 3 years. They don't sponsor accountants. They sponsor trade occupations, but generally they look for 5 years experience. For nurses, they look for generally 2 years experience. Teachers, they generally look for 2 years experience, something like that. That is for Victoria. So yeah, that's what I have covered most of the states. So if you are meeting the state nomination requirement, then you can apply to them. State generally don't look at the points. Only New South Wales for 190 they look at higher points. All other states generally, if you meet the requirement for that state, then generally they nominate you, because they have higher requirements, like they ask for study in that state or working in that state. Not many people qualify under that category. That's why they don't look at higher points. Even if you have less points, they are generally happy to sponsor you. And lastly, about the visa fee increases. Every year immigration increase the visa fees. So from this year 1st July, they have increased the visa fees up to 7% as well. So for most of the visas, they have updated the visa fee. Same way, most of the assessing authorities, skill assessment authorities, they also update their visa fees from generally 1st of July or maybe by August. So if you are applying application to immigration or through the skill assessment authority, you will be paying a bit higher looking at the current year fees. Now I'll just quickly go through the questions so that might help you or maybe your friends who have similar questions. Taimur Rashid is asking, what are the options for accountant if someone have 80 to 85 points? Taimur, as you might be knowing that for 189, point cutoff is approximately 85 to 90 points. So I would say if you can score 85 to 90 points, maybe that might be the option for you, that you might be able to get an invite under 189, but that may take time because looking at the current waiting, immigration is inviting people with 90-95 points, so it will take some time for immigration to come down to, like the cutoff will come down to 80, not 80 but 85, because with 80 points there are lots of people waiting. Even with 85 points, lots of people are waiting. So I don't think it will come down to 80 for sure, but then 85 most likely it may come down to 85, most likely maybe after 2-3 months of time. That is also looking at the number of invitations immigration will be inviting in this upcoming months. Also looking at the new changes coming up in November, like they are saying that they will be giving 10 points for people who are single. So suppose if there are applicants who are getting 85 points by themselves, who are single, they will be getting 10 more points, and that's why cutoff may go up to 95. So most likely if you have 85 points, then I would say there are good chances that you might be able to get an invite, but that also depends on the number of invitations. Suppose in July, August, in next 2-3 months also, if immigration invite very less number of applicants, then it will be tricky. Like you might not be able to get invited with even 85 points. But if they are inviting more people, at least 1,000 people, generally whatever the total number of invitations, 10% approximately they invite accountants. So suppose if immigration is going to invite 1,000 applicants, which I'm expecting from July, in that case generally 10% is 100 applicants will be invited under accounting category. So if they do that way, then the queue will be decreasing, like people who will be having higher points will be invited first, and then gradually it may come down to 85. But again from November they are going to increase, like they are going to give more points for people who has skilled partner, like 10 points, or people who are single, they will be getting 10 points. So that's why cutoff will go up, at least it will go to 90-95 points. If you think you cannot get that much of points, then you can look for the state nominations. Like as I said, Orana is currently sponsoring if you have 6 months of experience in accounting. If you don't have 6 months of experience, then you may look for state nomination for the states like New South Wales, or that is for 190 suppose, but again they also look for higher points. So then other than that, you can relocate to some other state like Tasmania, Northern Territory, or Canberra, South Australia, and then meet the requirements which I just discussed. Then that might be easier for you to get state nomination. Sunita Sapkota is asking how much points for nursing. For nursing, if you're asking for 189 visa, most likely cutoff may come down to 75, which is currently 80-85, which may come down to 75, but then I don't think immigration will be inviting people with 70 points now. So if you are falling under any occupation apart from pro rata means occupation which are under accounting category or auditing category or IT categories or engineering category. In engineering, there are particularly electronics engineer, engineering technologist, or a mechanical engineering category. Then point cutoff remains same for doctors, nurses, social workers, teachers, or any other occupation outside of that pro rata occupation. Then cutoff generally remains same, around 75 or more than that. So I think that if immigration is going to invite more people, then cutoff may come down to 75, but not 70 most likely. And again, from November with the new changes, point cutoff will go a bit higher, like 5-10 points more. Above is asking, I have applied for Victoria State nomination 190 as an engineering technologist with 65 points and I got invitation. I applied for my permanent residency on 21st of December. When will I expect my PR to be granted? For 190 application, as of now, I have seen that they have increased the processing time, but that was also because it was end of financial year and they have less number of seats available for 190 visa grants and like for permanent residence visa grants. So that's why generally every year very similar situation happens and they will process application in July or August month. So most likely you should be able to hear in month of July or August. They have started processing application which were lodged in second week of December. So you may be able to receive update from department soon. Samjana is asking, is there any changes for agriculture? As of now, there is no changes in agriculture related occupations. It's mainly about state sponsorship, but then this kind of occupation, it's easy to get state sponsorship. So if you are not able to get higher points under 189, then you may look for state nomination. That might be easier for you to get. Like 489 for New South Wales, they generally easily sponsor agriculture related occupation. So that may be a good choice, or you may look for some other state like Tasmania or Northern Territory or South Australia. Alice Dong is asking, do you have any information about closing of 489 invitations? As recently I've heard the rumor that department is going to stop inviting applications for 489 from mid-September 2019. We haven't heard anything as such, and I don't think so that they won't be inviting any applicants under 489 because as of now, recently, if you have seen, as I was telling you about the changes, these new states like Orana, that is in New South Wales, or any other regional areas in New South Wales plus South Australia, they have announced the program for 489 state nomination as well. Recently they have announced the program. They also take 2-3 months of time to get you state nomination, to approve your state nomination application. So you are only, suppose if you are applying to even suppose South Australia or New South Wales state nomination under 489, they will be assessing your application after maybe 2-3 months of time. By that time, if you are saying that you have heard that they will be closing the invitation process for 489, then that is kind of, I don't think so it's possible, because after 2-3 months they will be sponsoring you, so then you will be only able to apply for state nomination after that 2-3 months of like visa application for foreigner after 2-3 months of time. So I don't think that is correct information, looking at state just started sponsorship. So I don't think so it's going to happen. Samjana is asking what are the other options to get PR other than skill assessment process for agriculture graduates. So look, if you are looking for permanent residency in any occupation, you got generally two choice. You apply under employer sponsored visa or you apply under GSM visa. If you wanted to apply under GSM visa, it's a mandatory requirement, compulsory requirement for you to get a skill assessment. If you don't have a skill assessment, no state will sponsor you, or you cannot apply for 189 visa or any other visa under GSM point listed visas. You have another choice, which is employer sponsored visa, where skill assessment is not mandatory. So if you are looking for employer sponsored visa, if you find any employer who is happy to sponsor you, then you might be able to look for that option. Sam Scott is asking, do you help in writing CDR for engineering technologists? We don't help in writing the CDR reports. If you have CDR reports ready with you, then we can help you to process the skill assessment application. We can review the CDR reports before submitting to Engineers Australia, and we can provide you some updates, like we can ask you to do some corrections if it is required, to follow the pattern, to follow the standard format of Engineers Australia. However, we don't help in writing the CDRs. Safia Rahman is asking, is there any chance for accounting on 80 points, EOI submission date October 2018? Look, with 80 points, I don't think so now that the immigration is going to invite applicants. So you should try for more points, or you should look for the state nomination. If you think you cannot get higher points, then the best option I would say will be looking for state nomination, because I have also seen most of the people, so you generally got 2-3 options. Firstly, you either increase your points. If you think you cannot increase your points anyhow now, then you forget about that choice. I mean, you have already applied for EOI, so if you get an invite with that many points tomorrow, suppose in future, then it's good. But I don't think that will be happening because of 2-3 reasons. Firstly, immigration, they have cut down the seats for 189 from 40,000, nearly 40,000 applicants to 18,652, nearly less than half, you can say. So because they are going to only grant 18,652 visa grants for 189 stream, then the point cutoff will be going higher, because last year it was approximately 40,000 seats. Now they are going to grant only 18,000 visas. So because the number of grants will be lesser, that's why competition will be a bit higher. That's why points cutoff 80 for sure. I don't think so it will come down to. And secondly, because of new policies, getting more points for STEM qualification, suppose, or getting points for being single, or getting extra points for having partner, skilled partner, that's why point will go up for sure. Maybe because if you are a single applicant, you will be also getting that 10 extra points, but mainly it's because they are decreasing the seats for 189 from this year July, which is now as per the new year. That's why it is a bit difficult. So I don't think so it will come down to 80 for sure. You have to either get higher points, that is the first choice. Secondly, I have seen people, they started looking at some other courses, like they started studying some other courses. But again, if you wanted to, you can do that, but then I don't recommend doing that, because if you are studying something else, it will take some time for you to get a skill assessment to that occupation. So suppose I've seen most of the people, they're asking me that, okay, I wanted to study a trade course. Now, if you wanted to study a trade course, you generally require 1 year of study plus 1 year of full-time job after study. So that is, you are investing 2 years of time. After 2 years, if point cutoff even for trade occupation is high, which is as of now, even the cutoff is approximately 75. As I said, for all occupations apart from pro rata, the cutoff is 75. So even if you are a trade occupation like a cook, chef, or a nurse, or if you are a social worker, teacher, whatever it is, apart from pro rata arrangements, then you have to meet same points cutoff, which is 75 as of now for 189 visa. So even if you study something else after 2 years, if points cutoff is higher, what you are going to do? So it's better, third option is you better relocate to some other states and look for state nomination. Like you can go to South Australia, Tasmania, Canberra, or Northern Territory. They pretty much sponsor any occupation as long as your occupation is under immigration occupation list. So that will be a better choice than spending money on studying another course and investing 2 more years of time, which is for most of the occupation you have to wait for 2 years to get a skill assessment, and again you don't know what will be the cons after 2 years of time. State sponsored, because immigration has increased the state nomination seats to like for regional areas, they said that they will be granting 14,000 more visa grants under 489 specifically, plus 9,000 seats for regional employer sponsored visas. So they are kind of in a way telling migrants to go to regional areas. So they are increasing the seats. So I don't think that will be a problem for most of the people who wanted to go to regional areas and meet the requirement for the state. So that will be better choice than studying something else. And anyway, if you have 80 points, suppose, then you can apply for 189. You can wait in the queue. In the meantime, you can also try to get more points. At the same time, you can look for the state nomination. Whichever works for you, you can look for it accordingly. Suman is asking, can I cancel my health insurance on 485 visa after lodging 190 visa? Because you are holding 485 visa, until you don't get 190 visa or until you are holding 485 visa, you cannot cancel your health cover, because your visa during even 190 processing, you will be holding 485 visa. So if you cancel your health cover, you are breaching your visa condition for 485. If immigration find out that, then they may be able to cancel your visa. They may be canceling that visa. So it's advisable that you have, I know that you can have Medicare access as well, but then you should be having that 485 health cover until you have your visa 485. Ruminder is asking, any chance for MBA? Look, with MBA, the main issue is getting a skill assessment. You have to have minimum 1 year experience, and most of the occupations are assessed by VETASYS, which asks for 1 year experience at a managerial level. So if you have already experience, you might be able to get a skill assessment. Problem is getting a skill assessment, because you require 1 year experience post relevant study, that is after suppose MBA. And second issue is, most of the occupation relevant to MBA are under short term, low demand. If occupation is under low demand, you have to look for state nomination. So you'll have to go to some other state, study there or work there, then they might be able to sponsor you. So that's the problem with MBA, like management related occupations. There is one occupation though, management consultant, that is under high demand. So if you can get a skill assessment for which you require 1 year experience as a management consultant, then you might be able to get skill assessment, and then you might be able to apply for PR under that occupation. Amarjit is asking, what about Orana 489 visa? For Orana, as I said, for accountant only specifically, they are saying that you require minimum 6 months of experience in Australia in accounting, then only you can apply. Plus, they are also looking for applicants who are living in Orana and working in Orana. That experience can be in any occupation. That is, generally they have published on the website. So even if you are not living in Orana, you can still apply to them. But as per their website, they are saying that you should be living and working in Orana. So they will be giving preference to people who are living in Orana or working in Orana. And for any other occupation, apart from accountant, if your occupation is on Orana occupation list, you can apply to them. And again, if you have more, because they have introduced new point system like that, just for the selection for that purpose, if you have more points, they will be selecting you that way. Suman is asking, can I also cancel my student visa after lodging 190? You cannot cancel your visa. If you wanted to, you can cancel your student visa, but then if you cancel your student visa, you will be granted with breaching visa E, which may not give you work rights and which doesn't give you travel rights. Plus, it may also affect you in terms of citizenship, not in terms like it will be refused or something, but then you might have to stay for more years. Like looking at the new, again, if new changes comes in, then you will have to meet the new changes. But as of now, if you cancel your visa, 3 things that can be affected is your working rights, your travel rights, and whatever period you have stayed over here. That may not help you to get an Australian citizenship after a few years of time, like after 1 year of time. So I would recommend that you continue following your student visa conditions until you get your visa, because once you get your visa, it will replace your student visa, so then it's all right that way. Orana 489 aged care workers certificate 3, please. Okay, so Orana can sponsor you, as I said, but your occupation must be on their occupation list. Plus, you must be able to get a skill assessment. If you don't have skill assessment, they cannot sponsor you. If you have skill assessment, for which generally you require, like skill assessment is done by TRA, if you can get a skill assessment from them, you can apply. And considering, because I'm not pretty sure whether aged care occupation is there on the Orana occupation list, but if it is there, then you might be able to apply. Amarjit Singh is asking, what points can we apply for Orana for foreigner visa, or it just 7 each and skill 6 months of experience? So for Orana state nomination, minimum requirement from your side is 55 points plus state will be sponsoring you 10 points. So as long as you have 55 points, minimum 6 months of experience in Australia in accounting plus proficient English, that is 7 each, then you can apply to them Orana. Miraj is asking, I have 55 points in motor mechanic with skill assessment done. Am I eligible? Miraj, you can apply for state nomination with 55 points for 489 because they sponsor you 10 points if they are happy to sponsor you. But you can apply to them. If you meet the requirement, you should better apply for a state nomination, because even if you score higher points, 189 will be tricky because cutoff is going around 75 points. So getting a state nomination will be the best choice. If you can increase at least 5 more points, you will have 60 points and state can sponsor you. Like for New South Wales, they generally sponsor even with 60 plus 5 points under this occupation. So if you get 5 more points, you can look for 190 as well. If not, as of now with 55, you can apply for state nomination, like a regional area state nomination. Dimna is asking, accountant with 85 points including 10 points from family stream. Look for family stream for occupation which are under pro rata arrangement, that is accounting, most of the IT occupation except security specialist and multimedia specialist, and for engineering professionals like engineering, other engineers or mechanical engineers or electronics engineer. For this occupation, that are pro rata occupations. For these occupations, you most likely you won't be able to get an invite under family stream, because as per the pro rata arrangements, immigration has said that for this pro rata occupation which I just said now, they are saying that if someone is applying under 189 and waiting in 189 queue, you will not be able to get an invite. So suppose if in 189 immigration is inviting people with 80 points under 189, and if you have 80 plus 10 under family, still you have 90 points, still you will not be able to get an invite. So if you're asking me that I have family member and you have 85 points including 10 points, you are not going to get an invite. So you should look for some other options. Jamil Patwari is asking, hi, my wife is engineer and I recently finished my MPA. How much band is required if I give my points to my partner? How much band is required? Okay, so if your partner is becoming main applicant, if you just wanted to give partner points, minimum requirement is 6 bands in each of the 4 modules. If your skill assessment authority asks for higher English score, then you have to get that. Suppose you are saying that you have done MPA, in that case you have 2 options in order to get a skill assessment, because if you wanted to give points to your partner, you require skill assessment and minimum 6 each. But for skill assessment, if skill assessment authority is asking for suppose 7 each or 8 each, something like that, you have to meet that requirement. For CPA, like because for accounting, CPA is the relevant assessing authority, or you can go through IPA or ICAA. All of this, they ask for either professional year program in Australia or 7 bands in each in academic version. Then only you can get a skill assessment. If you cannot get a skill assessment, you cannot give points. However, from November, as you know, people who have 6 in each, they can give 5 points to their partner. So suppose if you have 6 in each, but not a skill assessment, because skill assessment requires 7 each, and if you can only score suppose 6 in each, with 6 in each you can give 5 points to your partner, but not 10 points. That is again from November this year. Huey Fine is asking, one general requirement for state nomination in South Australia is that if you have used your study outside of South Australia, minimum 50% of your study must be within South Australia. Could you please elaborate on this point? Okay. So South Australia says that you are eligible to apply for South Australia state nomination if you have studied at least 1 year in South Australia. So suppose if you are doing master's degree in Australia, that is in Victoria, suppose you have completed 1 year of study master's degree in Victoria, and if you relocate to South Australia and complete remaining 1 year, then you are still meeting the requirement, because 50% of that is 2 years course, that is 50% is 1 year. So 1 year you have studied in Victoria, 1 year you have studied in South Australia, then you are still eligible to apply. But suppose you are going for, like you are studying undergrad degree, which is suppose for 3 years. If you have studied 2 years in Victoria and if you are going to study 1 year remaining in South Australia, you may not be, like South Australia may not be able to sponsor you. Generally don't meet the requirement, because 50% of undergrad degrees 1.5 years of study. That's why you won't be able to apply with that way. But if you are studying suppose a higher degree, or suppose you are just going to start a new course which is 1 year, suppose you have studied over here master's degree in Victoria, and then you are planning to relocate to South Australia, going to study another course like suppose diploma of management, then that's fine. Like 1 year course if you do, then you are eligible. Plus another requirement is that 1 year course must be relevant to your skills assessment. So suppose if you are getting skill assessment under accountant, and if you study something in South Australia which is not relevant to accounting for 1 year, then again you don't fall under that 1 year study requirement. Like you don't meet that 1 year study requirement. That 1 year study must be relevant to the occupation in which you got a skill assessment. Follower is asking, with 75 points, any assurance for invite this month? With 75 points, but it depends on which occupation. Suppose if you're asking for pro rata occupations, most likely 99.99% I would say it's not possible. If your occupation is under non-pro rata, that is if you are a nurse or suppose social worker, teacher, anything apart from pro rata occupation, then you might have chances, but that depends on number of invitations in this month, July. Suppose if immigration is inviting more people, suppose 3,000, 5,000 applicants, then it might be possible that you might be able to get an invite with even 75 points. But if most likely, I don't think they will be inviting that many people. What I'm expecting as of now is 1,000 applicants that they will be inviting. Looking at that, as of now, people are waiting with 80 points in the queue as well. That's why I don't think with 75 points it's possible in this month. But then, as I said, it depends on the number of invites immigration will be inviting in this month of time. Bala Subramanian is asking, is there any changes in cutoff for software engineers? Most likely for software engineers, cutoff as of now it's approximately around 80-85 points. But then it will most likely it will come down to 80 and then maybe to 75 points. But again, in this occupation, again it depends, as I said, on the number of invitation immigration will be inviting in this upcoming months, like from July to November. Again, from November, points cutoff will be increased to maybe 5 or 10 more points looking at the new changes. But then otherwise, for software engineer, the cutoff as of now is around 80 to 85 points. So from July, August, maybe in a month or 2 months of time, hopefully it will come down to 80, and then it may come down to 75 if immigration keep inviting more people in this upcoming months, like from July to November. Raju is asking, I have 55 points as a cook with Pegasus. Can I apply for 489 in any state or anything new this July for cook? For cook, you may be able to apply for New South Wales state nomination because they are generally one who are sponsoring cooks. So you may be able to apply for state nomination, but as of now, Orana, they have opened the state nomination, but I'm not sure whether cook is there on that list. And then there is another state which is Southern Inland. I think Southern Inland, they are sponsoring cook, so you can apply for Southern Inland because you got 55 points. If you have you are saying that you got skill assessment as well through Vetasys, then yeah, you should be able to apply for South Australia state nomination. Sorry, Southern Inland state nomination for New South Wales. That is for 489. So you can apply for that as of now itself. If you have a skill assessment 6 each and 55 points. 55 points you said you have. Skill assessment you said you have. If you have 6 in each, then you might be able to apply for Southern Inland. Hugh Fenn is asking that does it mean that any plan to move to South Australia to study masters after finishing undergrad degree in other state is pointless? So if you are going to study master's degree in South Australia, so 50% of study, that is for the courses which is incomplete. So suppose if you have completed a study in Australia, suppose in Victoria for 2 years, like master's degree in IT, and then you are going to study another master's degree in South Australia, then you don't have to look at that master's in Victoria. Then as long as you complete at least 1 year of study in South Australia, you are eligible. For the courses which is kind of partially you have completed in some other state and partially you have completed in South Australia, in that case you have to meet that 50% component. That is 50% of study must be undertaken in South Australia. But if you have completed one study in some other state and if you are starting another study, then it's nothing to do with your 50% of study. In that case, as long as you complete at least 1 year of study, you can apply. But that 1 year study should be relevant to the occupation in which you got a skill assessment. Dilpreet is asking, I have done bachelor of business professional accounting, currently doing professional year, only 2 months left. What are my choice to move to South Australia, as I'm currently on 75 points including 8 each PT? Will I get 10 points for being single after November? Yes, as I said, you will be getting 10 extra points, so that is good. But again, you are saying you have 75 points only. So as of now, you know that people who are having 80 points, they are also waiting in the queue since last year August. If they are single, they will be also getting 10 points. So cutoff will go to minimum 90 points from November. But people, as of now, cutoff is approximately 85. So if you look at that, and if people who are single having 85 points, they will get 10 more points being single, suppose, then the cutoff will be 95. So that's why I'm telling you the range will be in between 90 to 95 points, most likely 95 points. So if you think you cannot get 95 points including the 10 points being single, then you should look for state nomination. So you can go to South Australia, but South Australia, they have bit difficult, like bit complex requirements for for accounting specifically. They says that South Australia can only sponsor you in accounting occupation if you have studied there for 1 year in accounting plus worked there for 1 year in accounting in South Australia, then only they can sponsor you. Or if you already have 3 years of accounting experience, that can be anywhere, but out of that 3 years, 1 year of experience must be in South Australia in accounting, then only they can sponsor you. So 1 year study in accounting plus 1 year job in accounting in South Australia, or 3 years experience in accounting, can be anywhere. Out of that 1 year must be in South Australia, then only they can sponsor you. So if you think you can get job in accounting in South Australia, then you may be able to look for that. So you can go and study there if you don't have 3 years of experience. So if you have 2 years of experience in Victoria, suppose, and 1 year of experience if you get it in South Australia, so total 3 years experience plus 1 year in South Australia, then they might be able to sponsor you. But then they prefer you for 489 visa, which is a pathway to PR. Any chance for invitation for 190 New South Wales with 70 points in software engineer? Most likely, I don't think so. New South Wales will be inviting people with 70 points under software engineering. You should be able to get more points, then only it might be possible. Okay. Rian is asking, if I studied outside of South Australia and I am staying 6 months and fulfilling skill work 6 months in IT occupation, does it require English 7 according to the website? Yes. So South Australia, as I was telling you, South Australia has a bit complex requirement, because for every different occupation they have different requirements. So suppose for IT they are saying specifically that you are required to have a proficient English or proficient plus. So proficient English means 7 each is required, plus 7 each is required, or if you have 7.5 overall, then you are eligible. So if you don't have that, again they will not be able to sponsor you. However, you might be able to ask for waivers, but that is only applicable for international graduates of South Australia. So if you are studying in South Australia, then you might be able to get exemption for that English requirement. Otherwise, no. Cynthia is asking, my aunt is in New South Wales. Says my mom cousin, can she sponsor me for 489? And my aunt is in New South Wales. She is my mom's cousin. Okay, so if you are saying she is your mom's cousin, that is your it is considered like your aunt will be considered as a second cousin in that case, the one who is you are looking for state sponsorship from. So that's why you won't be able to get a sponsorship under 489 visa. So your relative up to first cousin can only sponsor you if they are permanent resident or citizen of Australia. If it is second cousin or anything apart from these things which I told you, like relatives must be your siblings, your parents, your grandparents, your uncle, auntie, niece, nephew, or cousins, first cousins. Then only they can sponsor you. The scenario which you are telling me, I think you are talking about second cousin. In that case, they won't be able to sponsor you. Plus, even if it is first cousin, but if they are living in Sydney, again they will not be able to sponsor you. So sponsor must be living outside of Sydney, Brisbane, Newcastle, Wollongong. Outside of these 4 cities, then only they can sponsor you that family 10 points. Otherwise, even if they are related to you by blood, like siblings, parents, grandparents, or the other relationship, as I said, they will not be able to sponsor you. Randeep is asking, one of my posts said first come first served for independent skill visa. Can you explain that? One of the posts said, okay. So Randeep, it's for 189 visa, 2 things matter: your points and the date of lodgement of your expression of interest. So suppose if you are lodging your expression of interest with 70 points, suppose 2 months back you applied with 70 points. Today, if I am applying with 70 points, then you will be given preference because you applied before me, because we have same points as well. But however, if I have higher points like 75, you got 70 points, you applied 2 months back. if I'm applying with 75 points today, because I have higher points, I'll be selected first, no matter what you have applied before me. So date only matters when the points are same for two applicants and they only wanted to select one applicant. Otherwise, points will be given the first priority. And I think you are asking also about the partner skills, like from November they are saying the people will be given preference as per the partner as well. So suppose someone is claiming 10 points for being a partner, having a partner who is a skilled partner, having skill assessment and 6 each, who is giving you 10 points, then you will be given first priority. So suppose if I have a partner who is skilled, that is having skill assessment and 6 each, I'm getting 10 points from my partner. I'm having, suppose myself, 70 points and 10 points from my partner, so I will be having 80 points. And you have suppose 80 points, but then suppose you are only able to claim 5 points from your partner, like having just computer and English. Suppose in that case, even if we have same points, I'll be given first preference. Suppose even if you applied your expression of interest before me, but because I'm claiming 10 points from my partner, that's why I'll be given first preference. So preference will be like from November, preference will be given to the applicant who has a skilled partner, that is claiming 10 points from the partner, or someone with someone who is single, claiming 10 points being a single. That person will be given first preference. Then person who will be having partner but only getting 5 points from the partner, having computer English, will be given the preference. And thirdly, then after, without partner, if you have a partner but not getting any points, then that person will be getting preference, something like that. Taran is asking, can he apply for skill assessment under ACS in 2 ENSCO codes simultaneously? Taran, you cannot apply for 2 skill assessments at a time for ACS. You will have to wait for one outcome, then only you can apply for another one. Vishal is asking, what is the point difference between for singles and married people from November? Yeah, I think I already discussed this. Sabine Maharajan is asking, my visa is expiring after October and I have 65 points, which October and I'm going to 65 points, completed undergrad degree in nursing. Which visa should I apply and is studying good for extending the visa? My visa is expiring in October. I have 65 points, completed undergrad degree. Okay, so if you have 65 points, 189 will be difficult for sure. So you should better look for state sponsored visas like Victoria. Even they are sponsoring graduates. Like if you are a recent graduate within last 2 years, if you have completed a study in Australia, then you can apply to Victoria. If you are living outside of Victoria, then you are required to have a job offer in Victoria. If you have that, then Victoria can sponsor you even with this many points. So getting a state sponsor will be a better choice for you. And if you think, I think you are on a 485 visa. If your 485 visa is expiring, if you're applying to extend your stay, then you have option of applying for a visitor visa. Suppose if you only wanted to stay over here for just 2 months, 3 months of time, because visitor visa they give you for limited period. Or if you're applying to study, that will be a better choice because you will get longer stay over here on a student visa. Tomek is asking, can I get 200 points? Tomek, getting 200 points, it's kind of not possible looking at the current point system, because maximum you can go around 120 points. Again, claiming also 100 points or 120 is also kind of impossible. Getting even 100 points is very difficult. But I have seen people who are getting, some people they are able to score 100 points, but that might be also because some people they are claiming points wrongly. So they are claiming for multiple things, like on the immigration website, immigration has said that if you have multiple diplomas, you can get 5 extra points, something like that. So suppose someone has studied 2 diplomas, but they are not meeting the Australian study requirement, still they are claiming 5 points. So then, like wrongly, if you are claiming points also, you might be able to get more points, but then generally claiming 100 points, it's very difficult. Keshav is asking, what about ICT business analyst? What are the points required for that? Business analyst current cutoff is approximately 85 points. It may come down to 80, but still it's difficult because lots of people are applying under business analyst category. Dimna is asking, accountant with 85 points, including 10 points from family. Yeah, that's what we already discussed. Vishal is asking, is it possible without an experience? If you're asking for Orana state nomination, then it's not possible. Otherwise, you can apply. If you're asking for 189 visa, you can apply. It's just that you won't be able to get points for experience. Or if you're looking for state nomination, like other states other than Orana, suppose, then if you study there, then you might be able to apply. Raju is asking, I have 55 points as a cook. Veta says, yeah, I considered that. Lou is asking, hi, I'm on a bridging visa as I wait for 190 visa grant. So do I have to do a private insurance or can I enroll in Medicare? You can apply for Medicare. You are eligible as long as you are saying you applied for 190, so you can apply for Medicare as well. So that's fine. Keshav is asking points required for business analyst, that is 85. What about enrolled nurse? Can I apply for 190? For enrolled nurse, you can only apply for state nominated visa. So you can apply for 190, but then you have to see whether you meet the requirement for the state, because every state has a different requirement. Like New South Wales was sponsoring nurses, enrolled nurses, but they were sponsoring someone who has higher points. So again, as per the new occupation list, if they update occupation list and if they say we are still sponsoring enrolled nurses, you might be able to apply to New South Wales. Other than that, if they say no, we are not sponsoring enrolled nurse, then you can look for other 4 states, which is like South Australia, Tasmania, Canberra, or Northern Territory. But then they ask you to study there or work there, then only you can apply. Usman is asking, I'm in Tasmania, my student visa will expire in March 2020, but my studies will complete in September and I will lodge 489. My student visa will expire in March 2020, but my studies will complete in September and I will lodge 489. Do I have to get enrolled again to maintain my student visa? Okay, if you are completing your study in the month of September and because your visa is expiring in month of March, you are generally required to enroll into another course because you cannot stay on a student visa without a valid COE. So if you don't have a COE, immigration, if they find out, then they can cancel your visa. Harjinder is asking, what about Master of Engineering Electrical Power with 80 points? Can I apply for skill independent visa this year? Look, if you have 80 points and if you are saying that if you are getting a skill assessment as an electrical engineer, then most likely you should be able to get an invite with 80 points, because I'm expecting that immigration may come down with even 75 points for non-pro rata occupations. So hopefully, if you are saying you have 80 points, most likely you will be able to get you should be able to get an invite. Usman is asking, I'm in Tasmania, my student visa expiring. Okay, that is what I have covered. What is the status for social work? For social work, if you think you can get higher points, that is 75 or above, then you might be able to look for 189. If not, then I would say going for a state nomination would be a better choice. States generally, they are easily sponsoring social workers like New South Wales. So I would say better you apply for New South Wales. But then you should be having a skill assessment as well. So if you have that, then best option as of now is going for state nomination. If you get higher points, then you might look for 189 visa, but then scoring higher points, you will require 80 each, plus if you do suppose NATI, or if you have 1 year experience, if you are claiming points from partner, something like that, then only it's possible. If you, nowadays it's like if you can't score 8 bands in each, then claiming higher points will be kind of very difficult, because all other things generally gives you 5 points. So PT is giving you straight away 20 points like Aussizz, or PT is giving you straight away 20 points if you score 8 in each. However, if you go for some other ways like claiming NATI points, or suppose doing PY 1 year experience, every like all of these factors is just giving you 5 points, and that's why claiming that 20 points will be very, very difficult if you are claiming through some other factors. What's the current point for early childhood and expected points for next year? For early childhood, for all non-pro rata occupations, cutoff will be most likely 75 or higher. So if you're a teacher, social worker, trade occupation, like if you're looking for 189 specifically, if you're looking for state nomination, the states are happy to sponsor even with 60 plus 5 points or 55 plus 10 points for regional area sponsorship. So if you're looking for 189, then target at least 75 points even for non-trade, non-pro rata occupations. Like that can be teacher or a doctor or an electrical engineer or a nurse, trade occupation, cook, chef, metro mechanic, painter, anything as such. 189, 75 points is a kind of must for you. Umesh is asking, I am on a 485 visa and working as a pastry cook for more than 2.5 years. So what course do I have to do to apply for employer sponsored visa, as I don't have relevant study, completed my undergrad degree in business? Which course do I have to go to get skill assessment, or can I apply without having relevant qualification if my business owner is ready to sponsor me? Thanks. Okay. If you don't have relevant qualification, you have option of either getting qualification through RPL, which is recognized prior learning. Based on your experience, you can get recognized like the certificate through recognized prior learning, or if you don't have qualification but if you wait and get three years of full-time experience, then you don't require to have qualification. Then even if you have just 3 years of experience, your employer should be able to sponsor you. Amin is asking, I got 55 in PT, is it enough to score, is it enough score to get master's visa? 55 if you have, then look, generally for visa they don't generally look for English requirement if you are getting admission into a uni which is level 1 or level 2. But if your school is asking for a score which is generally for masters, you require at least 6.5 overall and 6 minimum. So if your school is asking for that, then you have to meet that requirement. Otherwise, for immigration, if you are going for a university level qualification like master, something like that, then generally they don't ask for English requirement. Like immigration, they generally don't ask for the English requirement. So that is fine. But then for course, because you got 54, which is approximately 6.5, it's not 6.5, it's less than 6.5. That's why your university is asking for English requirement, or if they say that okay, you don't have 6.5 overall or equivalent in PT suppose, then they may ask you to do LE course, English course. If you complete that, then generally for visa, English course should not be a problem if you have this much. And Aman is asking, what about Canberra? Will 491 will be in Canberra as well? Look, as of now, 491 will be available in Canberra as well, looking at the changes what immigration has announced as of now, because as per the new changes, regional areas immigration has declared Canberra is not part of regional, is part of regional area. So looking at that, you can apply for 491 in Canberra as well, but then they will be announcing these changes soon. Like the state will also be updating their policies soon. So yeah, you can apply for Canberra as well, looking at the current changes. And then Sabine is asking, any chances for 190 New South Wales for registered nurse living in Queensland? If you have higher points, because New South Wales generally prefer applicants with higher points, so if you have good points, then you can apply for New South Wales as well. And for registered nurses, even if you have less points, generally they sponsor people, so should be okay, but then try to get more points because they prefer people with higher points. If you still have any questions, we got limited time now, so if you still have any questions, you keep posting your questions, and hopefully within a day of time I'll be able to answer your queries. Until then, if you have any questions, as I said, you just refer to my profile as well. I have a Facebook profile. You can either text me there or you just comment over here, and then I'll be able to cover the questions. All good then. Well, thank you.